You're listening to the Media Man Dan Podcast, your place for music, movies, news, reviews, and interviews. Welcome to the show. Get ready to rock. Let's rock! All right, we are back in action for part 2 of my movie ratings of 2022 that I was able to see. We already went through the fucking terrible F, which was Black Adam. We went through all of the D's and all the way up to D+. We went through C- all the way up to C+. And I have to say this. The next movie that was on the list as a B- is now a C+. I am talking about the brand new biopic, I Want to Dance with Somebody. Now, I have justification for why I even like this movie. A lot of people were very harsh on it. I believe that this movie, despite the ending, the rest of the movie is really solid. There is some great acting, excellent work when it comes to the professional quality that you get from somebody who actually cares about the character. Just like I said about Austin Butler when it came to Elvis, this young lady, when it came to Whitney, mastered like all of the movements as far as I could tell. I mean, I didn't grow up in the 80s. I didn't really get to see the rise of Whitney Houston, so it's very different, I'll tell you that. I honestly believe that some people were made to play roles of celebrities that aren't around anymore, and this is one of them. I love the story between her and her first love, which was the girl. I didn't expect the gay romance to happen at all. I didn't know anything about her past, so I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then she went like towards this guy that she was looking at for a while, and we all know Bobby Brown, not so great, not a great guy. But once again, this movie, pulling its punches, could show us some real tragic shit, could show us some real horrible drug issues, but no, it decides, nah, they're going to have a little bit of an argument, and it's going to be a little bit heated, but like no fists are going to be thrown, nothing breaks or anything like that. It's just a couple of bad words, I guess you could say, for a PG-13 movie. It was really tame, and I definitely can say that besides Bohemian Rhapsody, this is the weakest, because Bohemian Rhapsody, like I told you guys before, I wanted more Queen than I wanted Freddie. I got all the emotion, but I didn't expect it because I was expecting to see a movie about Queen. Now, that was my fault. Not everybody else's. Plus, it is better than Elvis for most of the film. Like I said, I didn't like Elvis specifically for the Colonel moments. I love the Elvis moments. Specifically, the last scene when he has to perform on the stage for the last time, and he actually goes off on both Colonel and the audience, just showing how tragic and how upset this man was with everything that the Colonel did to him. I was really happy to see some type of revenge, because I just don't like people getting their shit kicked out of them and they just sit for it and they just stand for it and they're like, this is fine, this is just the business. But Elvis actually stood up for himself. I don't know if it's a true story. I don't know if he actually said the F word to the crowd. You guys can clarify that in the comments, but Elvis definitely did a great performance with that. Whitney here, an excellent performance all the way up until the end. Like I said, this actress was really good at playing Whitney Houston, and I believe that this movie, had it had an emotional effect on me at the end, would have been closer to a B+, honestly. And now I dropped it from a B- down to a C+, just because it was so afraid to take that risk of actually making you feel something at the end. Cutting to black, not giving us any sound, and then showing us a final performance, having us assume that we know what happens there. I don't need that. I need some truth. I need some realism. And you can't just cut to black on me. That's not cool. That's not how a movie is supposed to end. We all know that the climax is a very important part. There was a great climax in this movie, and then you're supposed to have a great falling action at this point, and you're supposed to show this character going through so much. And what did they do? They had her in the bathtub. You're like, here we go, we're gonna go right into this death. It's gonna be so horrible. I'm ready to cry. Let's get the tissues, let's go. And they didn't follow through. They just went cut to black. Here's a performance that she had sometime in the 80s. It's like, Fucking perfect. Thank you. Thank you, movie. That is exactly what I didn't want to see. And so that is why it deserves a C+. I can say that Whitney Houston is literally one of the best voices in pop music, in music in general. A fantastic voice. And the actress that played her in this movie did an excellent job for any part that she was actually singing. It was very hard to tell the difference, and truly fantastic vocal work. Whoever did the editing, whoever did the ADR, if there was anything at all where the music was playing and this girl was mouthing it, I didn't believe it. I thought she was literally singing that. It was incredible. So, very good casting, very good on all occasions except for the ending. And when you have a bad ending, I can't give you a B. Sorry about that. I Want to Dance with Somebody, C+. Now, let's go into the B's. This is not going to be honeybees. This is not going to be bees that you get on your report card. Lucky you. This is going to be my opinion on the B minuses of 2022. Beast with Idris Elba. He takes his family to a random vacation. I don't know if it's Africa or something of that sort. He goes to this place, and he's thinking it's just for a business trip, and it's just to have the family see some cool nature and stuff like that. Very good character development of Idris to be first the man who's just very smart. I think he's a doctor or something of that sort. He's a very smart character, and by the end of it, he has to be a survivalist. Now, that's a great character in itself, and this is why this movie gets a B, is because Idris doesn't ever half-ass a performance. This guy, even in his worst movies, he's fantastic. He's truly a great person to watch on screen. The family in this movie, people were annoyed by them. I thought they were pretty realistic as well. Being stuck in that car for that long and waiting for the lion to actually come out at night, and the lion still has energy, that was a little outlandish. I did not expect any realism, with a big CGI creature or anything, but they were making it seem like a real lion, and I was like, I'm pretty sure the lion would be, off doing something else. This is just a crazy animal. And I guess that's why they call it a beast. There was some great scenes with tension that I loved. The building tension scene where they go into the village that's completely abandoned. Everyone's been killed basically there. And all you hear is like the flies flying over the dead bodies. Oh, excellent scene. But when it went to the end and it was like, how are we going to get out of the car? And then he goes on this little mission trip to keep the lion away from the car so that they can get the resources that they need. And then they get captured by another group of people over in that area, and it's like, it's just, we saw that coming, but at the same time, it's a survival story. It was a really well-made movie, and I thought the CG was really good for the lions, definitely better than Lion King 2019, felt more realistic and more scary, especially when it came to the lion attacking people. Very, very graphic at times, but I really thought that Idris should be more into this idea of working in that No Escape type of suspense film. I loved No Escape. I didn't even know what it was about when I went into that movie, and this felt like watching that, except for this was with an animal as opposed to a random riot going on in the area of a vacation. Either way, if you guys wanted to check it out, Beast is pretty good, and definitely good enough to be in the B range, but it's at the bottom. So let's continue to go all the way up to the top of the Bs, and then to the best movies of the year, in my opinion. Another B minus, and I don't know why I have this one so low. I really do like this franchise. I love this franchise, I will say that. Everything about Scream that has happened recently, where it's all Jenna Ortega and everyone's going crazy because of Wednesday and all that, has killed my hype for this movie. It's been overwhelming to be like, oh, great. Now all the Gen Zers are here, and they're going to ruin another thing that I really love. I just got into Scream just a couple years ago. My fiance took me to see it on my birthday, and I did not know that it was coming to theaters or anything. It was an anniversary showing of the first film, and oh my goodness, the first film is so amazing. Truly amazing. Horror, comedy, meta humor, everything that I love about a interesting mystery. It literally does everything right, in my opinion. And I've seen this movie now 3 or 4 times. It is so, so good. So watching the franchise, watching each movie, being more critical towards it, because I've seen it more than once now, it was harder to go back to the 5th one and be like, I'm excited to watch this. It felt like a drag as opposed to the other ones. The other one, especially number 4, I get really excited about number 4. The intro for that, was so smart and so different and, extremely meta, but it wasn't too annoyingly meta that it was like unwatchable. Like the story still had Sydney in it, which is an important thing. Same with the fifth one. The sixth one apparently will not have Sydney included, so it's just going to be Gale and the rest of the survivors. But I believe that this movie from 2022 was a great start to the year. And as people have said before, January is where movies go to die. This is where studios dump their trash. And having Scream come out in January, Scream 5, I should say, but it's still called Scream because they're making their own trilogy. Either way, it works. It was a fantastic twist for me at the time, but rewatching it was very challenging because I already knew who the killers were. I already know who died, and if you don't know, it's Dewey, and that's one of the biggest characters from the original franchise. I really loved his character development in this movie, and it sucks that we couldn't give him more time. I'm hoping that they do better with Gale, but I don't have much high hopes for it, just because I feel like what they're doing is milking this franchise. They're milking it of all of its riches, and if they do a Star Wars to this franchise, we are going to be fucking pissed. All of the community that has loved these movies, the ones that have loved it from the beginning, the ones that actually watched horror before and weren't scared of everything with their imagination, they were in love with this franchise. And now we have this experience where we could lose, once again, all of our favorite original heroes, just like Disney's Star Wars, in each movie. So we lose Dewey in this first one, then we're going to lose Gale, then we lose Sydney at the end. If that happens, that will be such a shitty move. I might not even want my copy of Scream 5 then. I'll just be like, nope, it ended after the fourth movie. There was no questions asked. That's exactly how the movie ended. That is the whole franchise. Sorry, nothing else matters anymore. However, I will say this. My anticipation went a little bit up more because they have the original voice of Ghostface. I always love that voice. It's always nice to hear him in action, but the trailer definitely needed work when it came to the sixth movie.
We've got to lure him and we execute him.
And I want to stop talking about the sixth movie because I got to talk about the fifth movie again. The connection that one of the characters has to Billy Loomis is a very important thing to me. I like that aspect. All the other characters being able to survive, no idea. Especially that Jock, the one that plays the brother of the nerdy one that's basically the Randy of the group. And it's very outlandish that he was able to get stabbed by Ghostface and still survive to the end of the movie and be in the sequel. That's just crazy to me. I don't know if they did that on purpose. I don't know if it was part of the tropes. I don't know if his character, maybe he is the killer. Somehow he is the killer. That would be a crazy twist. I wouldn't see that coming, but now I said it, so now I do want to see that coming. Either way, I liked Scream. I thought it was good. I didn't see anything super special about it. I loved the character of Dewey, and I really loved how much time we got to have with him alone, just to see how he had taken all of the things that went wrong in the real world. It seemed like they were using that divorce that actually happened in real life to also take place in the movie, so it was pretty tragic to watch that, and it felt very real. But seeing the characters look at each other one more time and be like in love again was really nice. Gale Weathers is a great character for Dewey, and when she's on her own, I don't really like her. The second movie didn't really impress me, so we'll see how the sixth one goes. Either way, Scream 5, Scream, whatever you want to call it, pretty good if you like the Scream franchise, but I'd probably watch the first four more than the fifth one any day. All right, now we go into another movie that I did not know I was going to put so low. The Batman. Now, I'm going to have to say that I don't have any real issue with this film. I think it's made wonderfully, shot wonderfully, acted almost perfectly. I get the eye, makeup on Robert Pattinson being a little distracting, but the story was really cool the first time. This is another thing where I come from the first time watching Scream 5, and I'm like, okay, let's see it again. Let's see if it holds up to that hype that I had on the first time. Now I go to the Batman. I am not kidding, guys. It was so hard, especially at night, to stay awake during this movie when you know everything that's going to take place in the plot. I was very upset from the beginning because there was like that really dark scene, right, where you get to see the guys that are attacking him, and it's really, really well shot. But I was like, okay, this is great, but it's really dark. Like, where are we gonna see him in, like, really bright light so that we can be like, oh, that's Batman, that we see in Dark Knight. And this movie is just like extremely dark the whole time. So anybody that doesn't have a really good TV or have a really good way of like covering the light in your room if you're watching this movie during the day, good luck. That is a really hard thing to do. As for the story, like I said, it's great the first time. If you've never seen the movie, it's an excellent plot. It works really well. A lot of comic book fans were very happy with it. I haven't read the comics, so I can't possibly relate, but I thought that the character of Batman was perfectly done here, and that's absolutely why it's getting the B range. I'm going to put it as a B- for now. It might move up to a B. I might have to see it a third time, but it was so hard to pay attention the second time since I knew everything that was already happening, and I was just like, I know the music, something in the way. I get it. It's really cool. It's really awesome. It's really emo. Whatever you want to call it. The Nirvana song, yeah, it works the first time. But people that saw this multiple times and didn't feel fatigued afterwards, you guys are awesome. Congratulations. You're much better than me at watching really long movies. 3 hours was definitely not the expected time that I was going to plan on taking for a Batman movie. But regardless, excellent acting. Looking forward to the second one. B- for now. Like I said, might be a B in the future. I'll have to rate all of them when they all come out because we're going to get a whole trilogy. And finally, James Gunn just announced what was going on with the DC universe. So I might cover that another time, but I don't really know enough to talk about it. Regardless, Batman, pretty damn great. Great comeback, especially coming from Ben or Batfleck. This is a movie that doesn't deserve this. This is a movie that has no way of proving that it is better than the other films that I have talked about. However, I am a sucker for really damn good animation and meta humor and taking a general plot and making it something interesting and taking a character that you love and making them a villain. Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers. I know what you're going to say. It's not better than Batman. It's not better than all these movies. I get it. I agree with you. However, I got a bias on this one. I felt like I was watching a Disney movie made for adults. I didn't feel like I was watching a Disney movie where it was so easy and able to figure out every single move that the character was going to make, and all the kids would go crazy for it. I felt like I was watching a Disney movie that was made for my generation. Made for people like me that grew up, that said, we've seen everything, show us something different. They gave us an incredible amount of meta humor in this film, especially with like Ugly Sonic, Peter Pan, all of that worked really well. I love the character designs, and I love that one of the chipmunks between Chip and Dale got to have an upgrade in their animation. So the whole movie, they're in like CG, while the other one is like in 3D, 2D. It's so cool looking, and I really, really give credit to those animators for making it so awesome and so unique with every single character. There's so much creativity behind this project. It seemed so impossible to perform something that got close to Roger Rabbit. And as I said this during the movie, Allison and I were watching it on Disney Plus. I was like, oh my gosh, this reminds me of Roger Rabbit. Sure enough, right at that moment, they show Roger Rabbit in the movie. I was like, yep, this movie's good. It's great at reading minds, and it absolutely deserves to be in the B range as opposed to the other ones that were so hard to rate. It was so hard to rate Batman because, like I said, I really love the character. I really love what they did. But this one, it just felt like something special made for me as an adult that grew up with Disney. I really thought they did well. And I love Peter Pan, but seeing him as a villain role, seeing him as like a mobster, that's pretty sick. Also, I love the terminology that they used. I can't remember it at this moment. But when I was watching the movie, it was so good. Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers, B-. Let's go on to the next one. Ambulance. Now, I'm rating these things, and I'm just thinking in my head, I'm like, is Ambulance really better than these other movies, right? Well, I'll tell you this. I had, once again, and this is another biased opinion because that's just how I have it when I'm rating movies. It's always like, what did I connect to most? It felt like watching a great action movie. It didn't feel like watching a Michael Bay film. It didn't feel like watching a Transformers movie. It wasn't these over-the-top scenes. I mean, there were definitely over-the-top acting and definitely intense situations, but it didn't feel like it was just explosions every other second. Like all the people have said, cliche, like, that's all that he knows. He loves explosions. We get it. Michael Bay is the explosion guy. But this movie actually does something that keeps me on my toes the entire time. It puts us in the Speed category of action. And that movie, Speed, is an incredible masterpiece. And anytime that somebody can give tribute to that film in the right way, I will absolutely give them credit for that. Also, I love Jake Gyllenhaal. That is a biased opinion. I love Jake Gyllenhaal. I've loved him in almost every movie I've seen him in. And he is so good at this role. He's good at every role. But when he plays these like anti-hero or just likable villain, he's so good at it. I haven't seen him this good since like Mysterio and Far From Home. And this one might be an even better performance. Just because it was so much more realistic. Also, it seemed like there was no hope for anything for this entire movie. You didn't know when it was going to end. You didn't know how it was going to end. Just like Speed, they give you that constant edge of your seat thrill ride. Yes, please make more action movies like this. It was so much fun to watch. Great job, Michael Bay. B- still. Might move up to a B one day. I'll figure it out. I have to rewatch it. Now we go into a movie that I saw most recently, Glass Onion, a Knives Out mystery. A lot of people have been hyping this movie up. Oh my gosh, it's just as good, if not better, than the first one. Oh my gosh, you gotta see Glass Onion. It's so smart and so sophisticated, but also satire. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. Here's the thing about this movie. I liked it. It's in the B range. It's B-. The reason it's a B- is just like I was talking about Whitney. You give me a climax, I'm missing the payoff. I'm missing the reason for just having a random hissy fit in the middle of a room and throwing glass on the ground. I don't understand it. It doesn't fit what I wanted to see. It doesn't fit in the story. It doesn't give us anything for the mystery. We already solved the mystery before the scene even takes place. So it's not like an outrage like the first one where they figure out who the actual person was to blame for everything and then, go after that young lady in the first one. It was really smart. The first one had a lot of smarts to it. It took its time. The pacing was great. Even though it was in one location, it didn't move anywhere. It was great. And what did we get in Knives Out, Glass Onion? A brand new story with brand new characters and a spoiler right before the final act. And we already had time with this character, so I guess it was cool to see like how they were not who we expected. But still, it felt like this mystery was solved, and watching this character have a mental breakdown and throw shit on the ground for no reason was ridiculous. And I don't understand how anyone is not looking at that and being like, yeah, that's kind of stupid. What a stupid way to react. What a stupid ending, right? I love that James Bond himself, Mr. Daniel Craig, is able to play a Southerner so well. I love that he has this really fun character that works with all the others and has super charisma, especially Batista in this movie. And another actor and character that I really love that I have to lose like right away, just like I was talking with Brad Pitt in The Lost City and Dewey in Scream. Now we lost Batista almost immediately in the movie, and I think he was the reason that the whole mystery had come about. I like that they gave us some explanation for it later on, but like I said, this could have been the end of the film. You could have had that, and then you could have done something even more groundbreaking besides throwing glass at the ground and having a big hissy fit. It's just stupid. I don't like the ending. I don't understand it. There was so much build up for it too, and it was like, oh, look at this, and like all the people in the place, they're like, oh yeah, yeah, you get them, yeah, you are part of these people. Like the whole entire thing was satire against the rich and famous and the conservatives, all the people that don't like masks. It was all bashing them the whole time, and I was like, oh, you know what? That's fine. These characters are just the way that they are, and we're gonna get over the political crap. But no, by the end of it, it's the character who happens to be black. I know that George Carlin would kill me for that joke, but happens to be black, and they're the one that are just throwing shit around the room. And this is when we're talking about like probably the same time that they were shooting this, the peaceful protests were happening. So it's just like terrible for me to relive anything that I got to see on the news back in the last 3 years. I do not want to see it again, and I did not expect that to be the climax to the film. So yes, I'm keeping this at a B-. I might even drop this to a C+. We'll see what happens in the future, but Knives Out, the first one, got a B, a solid B. Either way, let's go on to the next movie. Sonic 2. Sonic 2 is my first B. We're out of the B-minuses. Sonic 2 is the exact video game movie I've always wanted to see. It gave me all the lore. It gave me the characters acting like the way that they should in all of the video games. And I was so excited to go with the story, with Sonic, with Tails, seeing Knuckles for the first time. The final moment of this movie, you get to see Shadow. Everything about this was smart. Everything about this was made for fan service. I'm a fan of Sonic. One of my first friends ever. We bonded through Sonic. Like, that is my history. I remember playing it so much that I have Sonic Adventure 2 Battle on my Xbox 360 literally right next to me right now. But this story, this movie, the music of this movie, the action of this movie, everything I thought couldn't be better just kept going in the right direction. Every single scene, there was so much fun, and it was perfect for kids, perfect for adults, perfect for people that love Sonic, perfect for anyone that wants to see Eggman go crazy again, just like the first one. The first movie, I can say I was a little bit annoyed in this middle part, because I was like, I know where this is going, this is kind of boring, I'm not really feeling the character. It's because Sonic needs his group in order to work. He can't just work with humans. That's not just his main character thing. So we had Tails and Knuckles, and it made everything so much better. The team up was perfect. I love the big Robotnik. I love that they were able to defeat him with Sonic getting the Chaos Emerald and going Chaos Control. I don't know if he actually said that, but that's where my mind went immediately from Sonic Adventure 2 Battle. I was having so much fun reliving Sonic with this movie. That was an absolutely wonderful experience, a big surprise for me. I wanted to have it in the A range, but the movies that are in the A range really did deserve it. There's a lot of great things I can talk about each one of them when it gets to the end here. Sonic 2, once again, is a solid B. Everyone that hasn't seen it, go see it. Hotel Transylvania 4. Transformania is a movie that shouldn't have worked. I have now loved I think the third one is the only one that's weak to me. Like, it's the only one that seems like it just doesn't belong with the rest. I love the first movie, I love the second movie, and now I love the fourth movie. And this is Brian Hull's version of Drac. This is not Adam Sandler, who was originally there. I don't know if he stepped away for any specific reason. I didn't look into that. But Brian Hull, a YouTuber, did the voice acting and sounded exactly like Adam Sandler playing this role. And that was a great choice for the studio to make, so that you didn't feel like you were not getting the exact character that you got in all these other movies. Like the continuity, I love continuity. I'm going to keep saying that word so that you guys can look it up and be like, oh yeah, that's what I like too when it comes to like the MCU and stuff. But this movie was so much fun. It was so well done. I love the animation of this franchise. I love the characters of this franchise. I think this is the best Selena Gomez voice acting in general since like Wizards of Waverly Place. It's so nice to just have a good time with a good kids movie, with a good family friendly movie. It definitely has jokes for every single age group, and this one didn't hold back at all. The reason it's not so high, the reason that I couldn't put it with the rest, the first two I would probably put as an A. I really do think both of those movies are so entertaining and so funny and so smart and so different from like Addams Family and from Monsters, like all of that kind of monster house, zombie house, vampire house. This does it so much better, and the comedy works for me. That's what I felt from the first two. This one, the issue I'm having here, I cannot remember some parts of the plot. That's my thing, just because maybe I wasn't paying attention to every single scene. I think that we were watching this sometime in the summertime, so it was like light outside, the TV was on, and it was really hard to focus on everything going on. But I was just amazed by Brian Hull's performance as Drac, and literally keeping the same character that we love and know and love from the first and second movie. Just perfect. Love it. B for Hotel Transylvania, for Transformania. It's such a long title. I know it doesn't make any sense. And I really didn't like that we couldn't see it in theaters. I really wish that one came out in theaters, just because last year we finally got the theaters like open to going into them again, thanks to Spider-Man No Way Home. Regardless, let's go into the next one. Ticket to Paradise. This movie was so good. It was so made for people that haven't seen a good romance in a while, or a once in love, now enemies, then in love again kind of movie. The issue, and this sucks, this happens a lot with films these days, the trailer comes out, right, to market this movie, and they spoil basically the whole plot. You could tell a mile away that George Clooney was going to end up with Julia Roberts at the end. It was so obvious for all of us. We're like, yep, I see that coming. But I can say this. The acting was great. The message was great. Having their daughter, who was Eve from Last Man Standing, can't remember her character, but she was also in Dear Evan Hansen and Booksmart. I have to get celebrity names down in my head in order to say them. I'm just going to consistently say their characters in previous projects. But regardless, great acting from everyone in this film. I love the character that she fell in love with. I think he was awesome. I love that they brought his culture in. I love that the family was so open to the culture, even though it was like a wild experience. Like, they wanted to learn. They wanted to be closer to their daughter. They did everything they could by the end to show that they truly loved her, and anyone that she truly loved, they were happy with. It's such a cliche story, and it's so ridiculous, and we all know where it's going, but this was so nice. It was a nice, good feeling movie. I like those kind of movies. I love romances. I love the drama where it ends up with a happy ending, and this like really combined both of those, and the comedy of this was damn good. I really think George Clooney did excellent in this movie. He sounded exactly like when I'm thinking to myself about relationships of other people, especially celebrities, and judging them. He just spoke in the way that I would think all the time. Very blunt, very rude, and I was like, yes, this is me. I am embodying George Clooney in this movie. If only I were as handsome, this would be a dream come true. But regardless, Ticket to Paradise, what a big surprise. What a really fun movie, and also a really cute movie. If you missed the trailer, go and see the movie. It's so good. If you saw the trailer, I apologize. There's nothing else to see, but this is definitely a great acting movie, and a great comedy, and a great romance, and a great feel. Just, I love that. This is a B. It absolutely deserved it. The next movie, another one that we saw very recently, Barbarian. I'm not spoiling this one because everybody that's talked about this movie says don't spoil it for other people. I won't spoil it, but I will say the character that I originally wanted to blame in the beginning of this movie, when they didn't turn out to be the character that I thought, I was so lost. I was like, what is happening? What the fuck is that? How the fuck did that happen? And then all of a sudden, you get Justin Long showing up in this movie. What a wild adventure. What a crazy concept. And what a creative direction for horror. A lot of people did not expect most of what took place in this movie. I definitely did not as well. Very strange, very disturbing in times, and very just like so different from other horror movies. A lot of people were talking about that, like, this movie made them question if they know enough about like all the movies that they see, because they're like, oh, I could see what's happening here, and then it didn't happen. Cody Leach was like, every single time that I looked at something, I was like, that's what's gonna happen. He said this movie was like, fuck you, that's not happening. I was like, yeah, that's exactly how it felt. And it went crazy in the middle. There was so much character development with one of the characters that shows up later on, and you're just like, what is going on? The character design of the creature in this movie, which is a crazy spoiler, I apologize for saying anything about that, reminded me of It, and It Chapter 2 specifically, and all I was thinking was, man, this feels like It, and who would have known it was from the creators of It, or one of the like film directors or cinematographers or something of that sort. It was definitely one of the people that was involved in It, and I was like, okay, that's why I like that part. That's why it looks that way. That makes a lot of sense. Definitely gotta question that dude when it comes to his love for boobs. And if you haven't seen the movie, go and watch it. It's so funny. It's so interesting. It's so scary. It'll put you on the edge of your seat immediately. You don't know who to trust at all until the end of the film. And still, you're so lost. You're like, is this going to continue? Is this really the end? Like, I want to see if there is a sequel. This is going to be definitely a must-watch for anyone that loves horror, anybody that loves suspense, anybody that hasn't felt something that jolts them around in a while without just jump scare. It's a really good psychological thriller. It's a really good comedy at points. There's a lot of smart things that have made this movie the way that it is, like, loved by the public, especially the people that go to films to have a great experience just like me. So please and thank you, Hollywood. More of this. But if you scare me to death and you actually follow through and I get the character right, you owe me like $1. You owe me $1. I honestly didn't know where the movie was going. It was so much fun to watch, and it was so different. I can say that, because now I'm finally getting into horror, thanks to Scream again. Shout out to Scream. Shout out to everybody that worked on that, except for, the people that were canceled. Regardless, creative minds were all behind this stuff long ago, making sure that horror stayed fun and stayed creative. And definitely Barbarian fits within that category. All right. Barbarian B, here we go. It's time to talk about a musical. If you told me back in 2016 that Elf and Deadpool would be in a Christmas musical, I would have been like, what a crazy fan theory. What fan fiction are you talking about? Elf and Deadpool? Ryan Reynolds and Will Ferrell in a musical? Never. But then the pandemic happened, and one of the most viral TikToks comes out of Ryan Reynolds and Will Ferrell singing together. And then shortly after that, they announced that they worked on a musical. And I'm telling you guys, when I put a movie in a B range, that means I really, really like it. It doesn't mean it's the best, but it means I really, really enjoyed it. I've seen this movie twice. It lives up to all the hype that I thought. I love the story, even though it's very close to the original of The Christmas Carol. They play a little bit on the twists of the characters, and I really, really love Ryan Reynolds. Like I said, I've seen Deadpool more than any other movie. I am obsessed with that movie, and I'm obsessed with that character, and anytime I can see Ryan Reynolds in anything, I'm happy. But this movie, when it came to the musical sequences, and I do love musicals, was incredible. Like, they put so much effort into something that could have been a big joke, a big hilarious fuck you to all of the people in Hollywood that go crazy and they're like, this one's gonna get an Oscar and this one absolutely deserves it because of the musical score. I was expecting it to be a huge parody of like all of this stuff and just be them joking around about Christmas. I didn't expect it to be a heartfelt mystery story of what happened with the original Christmas Carol and a new character that seems unredeemable. And oh my gosh, the music of this is so good. The guys that composed this also composed great movies that I have above me. La La Land. I'm pretty close to pointing at it. But either way, La La Land, Greatest Showman, Dear Evan Hansen, all of those fantastic newer musicals were composed by these dudes, and they don't miss a beat on this one either. There's so many songs that'll get stuck in your head, and you won't stop wanting to listen to them. The only issue with this movie, besides a couple little comedic moments in the beginning that didn't really work for me, that's why I dropped it down to the B range. I was like, oh, it could be a B plus. But the only thing that didn't really work is that it's Christmas. When you're only able to watch a movie one time of the year, you're not going to be able to rewatch it during the year. I just confused myself. You're not going to be able to rewatch it on your own time in the middle of summer. This is not one of those movies that you can throw on. Dear Evan Hansen, Greatest Showman, La La Land, you could throw those on at any moment. It doesn't matter if it's Christmas time. But this one needs to be played at Christmas time because it follows in line with it. It has all kinds of Christmas themes and Christmas designs, and everything about it is very Christmas. I love that, and I love the choreography, and I love the acting, and I love the message. Oh my gosh, the end of the movie made me cry. I was so happy to be that emotional. Like I just said, I saw Whitney Houston and I didn't get as emotional as I did from Spirited. That's something wrong. There's something wrong there. Somebody needs to fix that. But regardless, if you haven't seen Spirited because it's on Apple Plus and you weren't able to get to the theater, please, if you can, definitely check this out. It will be worth your time. It will be worth your money. I promise you. If you love musicals, this is a great movie for you. If you love the Christmas Carol story, maybe you need a good twist. Maybe you need to see a different perspective, and this movie brings it. B for Spirited. The next amazing movie that didn't hit the A's. I love this character. I've loved him from the first time I saw him in the MCU. When he got to be the main reason why Infinity War took place, I was like, oh my gosh, but maybe he has a reason for doing this, giving away the most important thing in order to give power to Thanos. Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. Or in the Multiverse of Madness, yeah. Doctor Strange, the first movie, reminded me of my favorite book, The Way of the Peaceful Warrior. A very simple story, the hero's journey, if you will. If you follow anything about storylines and stuff like that, it's a very important thing in English. It's a very important thing in reading. This is a very important trope for a character to go through. However, in Doctor Strange, it felt more of a philosophical view of that story. And I really loved the ending of Doctor Strange. Not just the Dormammu, I've come to bargain, but the actual message of a man who gives up faith on humanity just because nothing is going his way, and he's just so arrogant, and he's such a dick, and he just doesn't understand anything, and he's finally pushed into this situation where he has to cope with it, he has to understand it, and he ends up being one of the most powerful magic users. Doctor Strange is such a cool character to me. I've never read a comic. I've never played a video game with him in it as far as I know. And I truly love what MCU did for this character. That being said, here we are at Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. And they make him the secondary character. I honestly wanted to give this movie an A, even though, or even a B+. I wanted to give it that high of a score just because I had so much fun with this film. There's so much crazy characters. There's so many things that go wrong, and they absolutely change the plot, especially the end. Wanda is amazing in this movie. I saw WandaVision. I loved it, and it was so nice to see the continuation of that. Continuity. Big word again. Gonna keep saying it till you get it in your head. I love it. It's amazing. They had a great story with finding out that she just cannot live without her kids. So she continues antagonizing Doctor Strange and everybody else in the fortress of whatever they're training. I can't remember the name of it right now, but with Wong and the rest of the students, and she just attacks immediately. It felt like watching Power Rangers. I love Power Rangers. It felt like that for that part of the movie. We got America's scenes. I didn't really like the actress too much. I didn't really like the progressive stuff that they were pushing halfway for no reason. They had some weird scenes with not the gay stuff, but like she just started wearing like pride on her jacket, and then in the next frame it was gone. I was really confused on that. I was like, are you guys pushing for the progression, or are you guys just getting subliminal messages to kids? Like, just look at that for a little second and now it's gone. It was never there. What are you talking about? Nope, wasn't us. Regardless, I don't like that stuff. I'm not a woke guy or anything of that sort. However, I could just say, in the critical aspect of film, I don't like the actress that played America. I felt like her lines, her delivery was very annoying. It didn't seem like it was like purposeful. It didn't seem like she was truly in any danger until the end when she's on the table. The rest of it was just like kind of whiny lines. Definitely reminded me of Gen Z TikTok kind of people. And I was like, I'm not really having it. But her power was pretty cool to look at. And Sam Raimi's vision for this film was so prevalent throughout the entire film that it's insane to not love anything that Sam Raimi does. I haven't seen Evil Dead because I'm too afraid. I think it's too much for me. I'll have to take my time with these horror movies and get more grotesque and get more crazy and get more satanic with them, and then I can go back and see how his are compared to the others. But I love his directing in Spider-Man, and I love his horror directing in Spider-Man 2, and I really loved the weird shit that he did in this movie. There was a lot to play with, and one of the biggest things that a lot of people went crazy for or were let down by was the introduction of Mr. Fantastic, played by John Krasinski. Was a fantastic choice, but apparently it was just for fan service. That's also going to demote them from a B plus down to a B, just because it's like, why was it there other than just to make the fans go, wow, it's in the movie, yeah, there is a multiverse. We did the exact same thing in all the other Spider-Man movies now. We have Spider-Man No Way Home and Spider-Man with Miles Morales into the Spider-Verse. Both of them did it much better when it came to the multiverse, and that's what the thing is about this movie. Your title is in the multiverse of madness, but yet you're barely showing any multiverse for more than a couple minutes. It's not cool, except for the ones that you stay in with the characters. And also, you're putting Doctor Strange as just the guide. That's what he is. He's the guide. It's not really about his character. The only thing that we know about his character that we see in every universe is that he's falling in love with the same girl and that he can't live without her. No matter if he's evil or good, he just cannot live without this girl. Real sweet, right? But it's a Doctor Strange movie. We already got it in the first one. We already got the message. We didn't need to see that again. Either way, the end of this movie is crazy. It gets all the way through the zombie stuff. Zombie Strange. The great message that we had behind Wanda also made me cry when she got to see her kids and got to show them that she's like a real monster now because she's losing her mind. But then we get Doctor Strange with his third eye. No, wait. Let's talk about the music battle. The music battle is crazy. Evil Doctor Strange in a different universe is now with real Doctor Strange, and they're both trying to figure out how to fight magic against magic. And somehow they both like choose to use like music notes from like a piano and stuff like that, or other instruments that are in the room, and they're shooting music notes at each other. Just absolutely insane stuff that only Doctor Strange can get away with. But anyway, we get to the end now. The evil Doctor Strange is dead, and now good Doctor Strange has his third eye, and I don't know what that's about. Probably something in the comics. And the end credit scene of this just didn't really make me excited to see more. I honestly think that the MCU could have died after No Way Home. I would have been perfectly fine with it. That's all we needed. Good job, guys. We're done. But this movie, I want to buy it. I honestly do. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness gets a B. So let's go on to the next movie, which finally brings us to the B pluses. B plus. A great movie is a B. A fantastic movie is an A. A perfect movie is an A+. So this is a great movie. And I only saw it once. I really want to see it again. I honestly need to see it again. Not only because the 4K remaster was excellent, but because the story was so hard to follow the first time. I was so scared the first time. I didn't know what was happening. And by the end of it, I was like, I need to know what the fuck is going on with that monkey. That was everybody's opinion when it came to like these big reviews. They're like, I just came from Nope. I have no idea what the monkey's about. The movie was crazy, and I don't know if I like it. Like, that's how everybody was talking about it. Everyone's like, it's definitely better than Us, but it's not as good as Get Out. I haven't seen either of those films. I have to definitely catch up to see the next thing that Jordan Peele will make. But for right now, Nope was awesome. Nope was crazy and artistic and unique. And it seemed like everything that Jordan had in his mind for every type of film, like adventure, comedy, horror, he mixed it all pretty damn well together, where the audience was constantly asking, what the fuck is going on? And that's a very important thing. A director keeping your attention and having you ask that question throughout the film and giving you more and more hints, but still making you confused. By the end of it, you have to look it up by somebody else's standards, and you're just like, well, that analysis makes sense, but this analysis makes sense. Like, what is this movie about? That's good, because you're making the audience think before, during, after the film. What is Nope? What does that mean? What is it about? The first time that the character says it is probably one of the funniest things I've seen last year.
Nope. Nope.
I still say it to my fiance in that way. Nope. And it's so funny, and the way that they do it to make you feel like it's going to be a horrific scene, and it's that big punchline, and it works so well because of the tension that it builds. It was the perfect, like, fake out. It's just the best fake out. But with the monkey, I was talking about that before, the monkey is like the hardest thing to follow. Probably the most horrific part of the movie, minus the one part where, holy shit, the character's in like a truck and he has to watch this alien like bleed all over this house. It's like the most insane thing you've ever seen. You're like, what is going on? And he's terrified, but he's also like, nope. It works for the title, right? But oh my gosh, it's so hard to explain to people. I honestly think that everybody should go out and see it, just because Jordan Peele is a damn good director. He's a damn good comedian. He knows what he's doing behind the camera, and he definitely has a lot of passion in his work. I would love to see all of the rest of those movies. I think Us will probably terrify me, so I don't know if I'll watch that one. But I'll see Get Out. Also, people didn't like Us. They said that that one was the worst of them. So I'm not sure if I want to see that. But you guys can let me know in the comments if you've seen any of Jordan Peele's movies and which one you want me to talk about that'll scare the shit out of me. Or pick any movie, honestly, and I'll tell you. I'll be like, yeah, guys, I'm wearing a Scooby-Doo shirt, so it actually fits right now. I sound like Shaggy. Like, yeah, guys, no way. I'm not doing that again. I'm pretty sure that I don't want this. No way, Scoop. Rut-row, Raggy. Sorry, I'm losing my mind. It's about midnight right now. Regardless, Nope was a really fun experience, a really crazy experience, horrifying at times, and really interesting and really good at making me think. So Nope gets a B+. Now we go on to the next movie. This is a movie, once again, with an actor I love, Mr. Ryan Reynolds. You couldn't ever tell me that there's a movie with Ryan Reynolds that doesn't work, besides Green Lantern and a couple of his like older movies. But like, he's so charismatic, he's so fun that you're like, I gotta see him in everything. This movie, The Adam Project, is a sci-fi adventure, not masterpiece, experience. And it's got all of the tropes you would expect from Ryan Reynolds. All of the comedy, all of the sassiness, the sarcasm. It's so smart. It's so Ryan Reynolds. There's the kid actor in this movie. He had played He didn't play. He tried out basically for this role with Ryan Reynolds, like saying like I could be a younger you, and he's like, okay, read my lines from Deadpool 2. And then he did this live for one of the interviews that they had for this movie going into it. And this kid is so perfect at his delivery and timing and comedic talent when it comes to playing one of my favorite comedic actors. Like literally so damn good at playing a young Ryan Reynolds in this film. A young, whatever the guy's name. I think it's Adam. Duh. But either way, Marco Ruffalo's in this. And his character was a pretty good sentimental value that we got by the end. There's a lot of heart. There's a lot of emotion in this movie. Despite it being a very fun action adventure film, it's all about the heart. It's all about the background of the character. It's all about understanding his past and understanding how he was thinking and giving him great advice as a kid to an adult in the future that couldn't have anything go right for him and falling in love. It's so deep, but it's so interesting, and it was so exciting at the same time. Like, this movie has so much fun in it. Like, I will just say that. It's a really good experience if you wanted to see a really good film from Netflix. Like, this is fantastic for Netflix to give this to us. B+ for Adam Project. The movie that started the franchise that I never, ever, ever planned on getting into. Now, it started for me from this movie. Other people have been watching this show for a very long time. They watched the previous shows before it that were based on the characters from the show. This movie came out and made me buy all of it. I literally have every single one of the Jackass franchise movies, TV shows, character movies. Like, sorry, if you have anything with Johnny Knoxville, I probably have it. Anything with Steve-O, I probably have it. I got his signed DVDs. I was obsessed with Jackass. Thank you to Jackass forever. Now, Ryan Dunn, we lost him too early. I can't say we because I wasn't there for the, beginning of the show, but it did feel like there was something missing from now watching all the other films and TV show, that I could say that, like, you could tell that they had to do everything they could to push all these newbies in that position to hold up all of the greatness that is Jackass, or ridiculousness that is Jackass. This movie, Jackass Forever, is so ridiculous. It's so crazy. It's one of the most graphic films I've ever seen when it comes to stunt work, when it comes to pain, when it comes to nudity. There's so much that this movie crosses the bar. But as all the other critics said before I saw this movie, I was like, I gotta hear what they're saying. It feels like you're just watching a group of friends have a good time. It doesn't feel like these people are like hurting each other on purpose and that they're feeling immense pain and they're like, man, stop it, please. I can't take anymore. And then they just like tase them. They're doing it while joking with each other. This is the kind of bro joking that would happen in high school. And you could tell that these guys still have that high school mentality. You could tell that they still have the same camaraderie that they did from the old show, from the old movies. And it really does fit in the franchise, despite having a massive lack of characters that we originally loved from the first three. This one was a really, really good addition to the Jackass franchise. I hope they have one more left up their sleeve, and I hope that Steve-O gets more time because his podcast is awesome. He's a really funny dude. I don't think I'd ever be able to handle his stand-up. He's kind of grotesque, but I bought 2 specials, so I guess I'm strong enough to do that. It was a great bond with my, like I said, future brother-in-law. I'm just going to call him my brother. It was a great bond for us. We haven't had a good movie that made us like go crazy laughing about it and then make us buy all of the merchandise that we possibly could to catch up on it and rewatch all of these guys going through everything. I could say that my favorite is probably Wild Boys with Steve-O and Chris Pontius. So funny. So funny. This movie needed more Chris Pontius though. Honestly, he's like probably my favorite Jackass member. besides Steve-O. Either way, Jackass Forever, B+. If you haven't seen all the other Jackass movies, if you hate Jackass, you'll probably hate this one. If you love the Jackass franchise and you never got to see this, or you said because Ryan's not there, it's not going to be as fun, definitely change your mind. Go try it out. See what you think. You might hate it. Perfectly fine. I had a great time with it. It absolutely deserves a B+. The way that I have it rated above all these other movies, I don't know if it should be there, but for the pure enjoyment of a film of the year, besides another one that's an A, like this one was way up high, and it deserves to be a B+. We got 2 more B+, and then we go into the A's. Bullet Train is a fantastic spin-off of Deadpool. Now, the writer or director or something that worked on the original Deadpool or Deadpool 2 was involved in this film. It was very obvious in cases. But I'm telling you, when a character is in a very serious situation with extreme gore, extreme violence, right? You're thinking, oh my gosh, this is so shocking. This should be taken extremely seriously. And they're having like a little chat like, are you sure you really want to do this, man? And he's like bleeding out. He's like, I'm sorry, dude. I didn't mean to do that. Like, these assassins are just joking with each other. This is like if John Wick was a comedy. Like, it felt like John Wick and Deadpool mixed in one, and Brad Pitt stole the show. He's the main character of this movie. He does everything right. I love that they have a message behind this big water bottle scene. I love that there's so much to do with fate and having to do with a character at the end that has had this destiny, basically, from the day that he had first had to fight for his village. Like, I love that there's like redemption at the end. I love the music choices. I love the comedy of this movie. Everyone that missed out on this movie because they didn't hear good things or just thought, oh, I don't really care about that, go see it. It's so funny. It's so smart. It's so violent at times. And it works. It works. There is so much fun in this movie. Like I just said, it came from Jackass. It came from the Adam Project. These movies are fun. I want to have fun at a movie theater. Bullet Train did that. I saw it twice. It's so good. It's so good. I should buy it. I really should. I should definitely buy it because I want to watch it again. Now I'm just thinking about it. I definitely need to buy it. Yeah. B+, Bullet Train. Go see it if you haven't. I will not spoil any of the real plot. Like I said, there's something with a water bottle. It's a lot to do with fate and it's a lot to do with destiny, but it doesn't really give you all of that. Oh, and Thomas the Tank Engine. Like, the wildest writing, and it works, and it's so fucking perfect. It's perfect. Even though it's not an A, it's perfect the way that it is. I loved it. It's so fun. Either way, Bullet Train, B+. The last B+. A phenomenal surprise. A lot of people told me to watch this. I was like, I don't know. I think I'm going to be too scared. It looks terrifying. The guy looks like the devil. Why would I watch a movie where a guy is in a devil mask? Ugh. It's about kidnapping. It's called The Black Phone. The best horror movie of last year. I had the best experience with this movie because I was so scared. I was so scared. Allison and I, we were talking just to keep ourselves away from the give up on this kind of movie moment. I was, as soon as a character whispered into the phone, it was like, this seems like a great time to just take a phone call. Let me just call my grandma and wish her a happy birthday. Because I was like, I'm so scared right now. I don't know what's happening. But the movie, it gives you all of that tension. It gives you all of that suspense. It gives you all the build up. And the payoff is so worth it. The revenge of the boy, the character development of this boy, his sister and her attitude and her blunt personality just works so well. Everyone's super charismatic. The main villain, I cannot remember his name right now. Excellent job. Perfect for anyone that wants to get involved in horror, that really can't handle the really dark supernatural shit. This is a great movie to start with. It's so interesting and it's so different from other movies, and it's so short. It's so short. You can finish it pretty quickly. The way that they do things is very realistic. Definitely not good if you've been kidnapped or know anyone that's been kidnapped. I would tell them avoid this one because it is definitely going to give them some PTSD. There is some scary stuff in this, but it is not a true, like, oh my gosh, I can't sleep tonight kind of movie. It's just a, yes, get revenge, fuck that guy. Not really, don't literally fuck that guy, but like, you hate this character. You're like, yes, this little boy needs to get revenge. And the payoff of this movie and the way that they made the houses like a maze of like where is what, and the supernatural energy that goes on between the little girl. Oh my gosh, this movie is so different and so awesome. It's so cool. It is absolutely worth it to put it in a B+. I could have put it in an A-, honestly. I could have done that. I have to rewatch it. I have to reanalyze it. And I can say that it was definitely one of the biggest surprises and best surprises of last year. The first of the A's. We have finally reached the end of this experience with all of the movies that I saw. I'm going to go through these quickly. Prey is part of the Predator franchise. I am a dumbass. I have never seen Predator. I've never seen Predators. I've never seen anything except for that terrible movie in 2008 called Predator, or The Predator. Not good. Hated it. Laughed my ass off. Awful, awful writing. Terrible ideas. Never anything even close to scary. Like just absolute big shit on the franchise. And this movie fixed it. Prey, the prequel to Predator. The way that they shot this movie, the way that they made the character of the Predator so intimidating, the characters that we got in this movie, even though they're Native American, the way that they're not just speaking in that language the whole time and you have to deal with subtitles, the way that they gave actual modernized humor to the main character to give that exact same effect that I've heard comes from the first Predator movie. Everything about this made me want to watch Predator. That is how good it is. Also, my Predator copy is the one with Deadpool on it. He's not in it though, but he even says that on the back here. Wish I was in this movie, but I'm not. Either way, Prey was so good, so action-packed. You were on the edge of your seat. You just wanted this girl to get revenge the whole time. You wanted her to prove to the tribe that she was strong enough to be a hunter like her brother. And the way that they have to defeat this creature that came from outer space with all of this tech, even though it's like the old-fashioned tech, the way it all works out is so awesome. It works so well as an action movie and so well to the story of the Predator. A lot of people were talking great things about it, and for the longest time I thought Prey was just another action or horror movie. I had no idea it was involved with the franchise, and I had no interest whatsoever at that point. But then I started hearing more and more buzz about it, and I was like, okay, well, we got Hulu, let's see how it is. Absolutely loved it. Yes, A-. Prey is so good. Please watch it. I really want to put Bullet Train up there now because I just had so much fun with that. Either way, I loved it. You should love it too. Prey was great. Or no, fantastic. That's it. Fantastic. Not perfect. Perfect are those A+. The next movie I got to talk about, it's an obvious one. It's such a shill thing to say. It's so ridiculous that people can put judgment on something that's so insanely well developed, well made, well acted, time, effort, everything put to 1,000,000 at this event that is Avatar: The Way of Water. Yeah, I honestly didn't want to put it this high. I wanted to say Avatar is just another movie. Just like the first one. Oh, I'll forget about it. Oh, I won't remember the plot. I'm not going to rewatch that. It's 3 hours. There's no way I can ever watch that. I want to rewatch it right now. It is 12:25 in the morning. I want to go to the theater and sit there until 4:25 in the morning and watch this movie again. That is how good this movie is. There is so much fun here. There is so much story here. You actually care about characters. You're not just seeing blue people as these weird, random alien natives of a different planet. You now see them as a family, as a army, as their own version of people fighting for their rights to survive, fighting for the reason that they live, showing us their culture. The water in this movie, the animation, the quality in 3D, everything about this is absolutely A minus. And the only reason it's minus is because we still have the freaking villain alive. Spoiler alert. Spider's an idiot. He shouldn't have done that. That was like the biggest flaw. Everything else, I had such a good time. I will definitely be rewatching this as soon as I can. I will definitely be buying this with the whole trilogy. However many movies there are going to be in this franchise. I am so excited to rewatch the first Avatar and see if there's anything that I can really pull out of it that connects to this one. This one was so fucking good. Please, if you haven't, go see Avatar: The Way of Water. See it in the best theater that you can in 3D. Don't go for the high frame rate. Apparently that does really bad things. Like for the movie, it looks like a video game at times, like a cutscene. So go for the 3D. Try it out. If you can't do 3D, don't do 3D. Do the regular 2D. It's amazing. Just give this movie more money. We're okay giving the biggest Hollywood creator, basically. Now he's got all of these movies based on Charts with Dan. All of these are in like the top tier of the highest grossing movies of all time. That's insane. And it deserves it. This one definitely deserves to be on that list. Avatar: The Way of Water. Wow. A minus. Another masterpiece of last year. This goes without saying. This is probably the longest movie to ever stay in theaters. I think it was in for 5 to 6 months. The day that this movie came out, I remember everybody getting excited. I remember everybody talking about the volleyball scene for the first one. I remember the Flick Pick talking about how it's one of his favorite films. And I was like, can I feel like they do about Top Gun? And I saw Top Gun Maverick. Yes. Yes, I can now. I have to rewatch the first one. I got it in 4K just so I could see how it looks, but I got to watch it on the best TV possible just to compare the two. Top Gun Maverick, as far as I know from other people that have reviewed the first one and the spoilers that I've heard as well, plays the story of Top Gun perfectly and adds to it. The best thing for a sequel to do is take the lore of the first film that was a masterpiece. Let's talk Star Wars, because Pitch Meeting actually pointed out that the trench run and the random run that they have to do in Maverick are very, very close to each other. But regardless, Star Wars was a great movie. An excellent film, actually. Excellent. Everyone loved it after the critics finally let go of their stupid, it's a space movie, who cares about it? They finally understood it. People that were all about it went crazy for it. The fandom came from that. And it did so well that they had to make the sequel. And the sequel added to the story. The sequel gave us more time with Luke learning the way. This movie showed Maverick off, right? We know that he's already perfect as a flyer or whatever, jet pilot. But he gets to make up for one of the biggest mistakes he's ever made in this movie. Top Gun Maverick has heart, has spirit, has pure American love for its audience, for every single generation. This movie is so fucking amazing. Every single person that reviewed this told me, the watcher, I'm not talking to them directly, but they said this movie was made for the cinema to be alive again. This brought so many people to the theater to sit down for that period of time, bring their family of all ages to see an action movie that everyone loved. The music starts off right away. Highway to the Danger Zone, you know, all the good stuff. All the greatest from the first movie is here. All the greatest of Tom Cruise acting is here. The only reason this is not a solid A or A plus is because there is some dialogue that is so incredibly bad. It's one of the most important scenes, right? At the end. Thank you for saving my life. Thank you for saving my life. Thank you for saving my life. I put a little bit more character into it. The way that he says it at the end, it's kind of weird. Doesn't come off as like a sincere remark. And because of that, not just that, but some other dialogue as well, I have to push it down to that A minus. But if this could be rated without testing on dialogue or anything like that, I'm just going by cinematography, acting, story, everything of that sort, this movie absolutely gets an A in every category. It's so good. It's so good. Please go see it if you haven't. Catch up on it if you haven't. It's amazing. It makes you feel good. It makes you get a big smile on your face. It makes you root for the team that you didn't even know you liked, especially me. I didn't even know I wanted to watch a Top Gun movie. I heard good things about the first one, but I was like, it's the 80s. People are just in that, lucid dream, like, oh, it's perfect. This is where the best was. Nothing will get better. And I agree with you when it comes to like Back to the Future, but for Top Gun, I did not expect to love this movie. And I do. I own them both on 4K. It's up there behind me somewhere. Please go see it. Please get it. Buy it. Bring it home. Show the whole family. Show everybody. Let them have it as well. Buy everyone a copy for Christmas. Or their birthday. It's that good. It is really that good. I'm not kidding. I'm laughing because I'm a little slap happy. 12:33 in the morning. What can I say? A minus for Top Gun Maverick. But there was one more movie before I get to the top 3 that really impressed me. Also part of a franchise. Part of a childhood. My childhood. It wasn't the 80s. It was for the 90s kids. The 90s babies. We grew up in 2000. We heard Smash Mouth. We heard All Star. We know what movie I'm talking about. Shrek was a mind-blowingly fun, interesting play on fairy tales. It was smart. It was funny. It worked in every single direction for every single audience member. We memed it. We made it the most ridiculous, disgusting shit at points. We made fun of it. We said that the other movies weren't good except for the second one because of holding out for a hero. Incredible. Some people have considered the second movie to be the best. I still love the first one more because I remember it, and I remember watching it like 50 times. Not in theaters, but I saw it a lot as a kid whenever it would come on TV. Couldn't miss it. Shrek is amazing. And now we finally have one of the best, if not the best movie in the entire franchise. Puss in Boots, The Last Wish. Puss in Boots, the character, played by Antonio Banderas, was a character added into the second movie. I'm believing that they have some kind of fairy tale that they're part of, but I can't remember it at this point. Regardless, they were an excellent member of the team. Everybody was very exciting in the second movie. Third movie didn't really do great. Fourth movie was bleh. both of them were bleh. Then you got Puss in Boots, his solo film. It was pretty good. I don't remember it. I can't remember if I hated it, so I can't say it's bad. But I can't say, you know what, I'll say it's okay. It's okay, because I can't remember it. It's like a C, maybe C minus. Animation was great. Story, I can't remember a damn thing about it. I know Humpty Dumpty's in it. Woohoo. This movie, Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, gave me more emotion, more story, more character development, more heart, soul, spirit than any animated movie I've seen since, I'd say, Coco. Maybe Inside Out. Yeah. Yeah, one of those two. Those movies got me crying. Those movies hit my heartstrings real hard. But Puss in Boots here, man, is deep. It's creative. It's everything that you love about a great movie. It puts your character in the worst position, fighting literally with the essence of death, fighting literally to prove that they are worth another life. And the comedy to get to that point, the heart to get to that point, the characters that were added, their stories all fleshed out. I saw this movie twice. I couldn't ever stop smiling. Well, except for when I was scared on the first one. I didn't get scared, but like there was a pretty scary moment with death in the first part. And when you see it the first time, you're like, woo, kind of weird. But the rest of it, smiling, laughing, enjoying every second. This movie definitely was deeper than I expected. But by the end of it, I did not expect to feel like I wanted to stand up and clap. I didn't do that, but I felt like I wanted to. This deserves a standing ovation. The animation of this film is incredible. The story of this film works extremely well for every generation. It will hit you at every age. It's so perfect. But it's not an A+. because I had to give it. It's part of a franchise. It's not an original idea. It's part of the franchise. It's the same character we've seen before. He's already had his first movie. This is just a sequel to his movie. And it gave us a hint that we're getting another Shrek movie at the end. I can't consider this an A+ until I've seen those. And then I can compare. And if this one stays as the best one in the entire franchise, Puss in Boots will move from an A to an A+. That is how good The Last Wish is. Everyone, if you have not seen this movie, if you do not care about Shrek, and you want to see a great movie full of great animation and an excellent plot and an excellent story and excellent characters and perfect development of someone who's been so selfish and so arrogant and so fearless their whole life, to have all of that taken away from them and have a support dog as a friend and try to regain their love for somebody and try to have this other family that's been dealing with their own issues get together, and all of this comes together with the incredible comedy, with the incredible storyline, with the incredible villain, with the incredible jokes that come from the villain's guide. There is so much irony in this film. There is so much creativity in this film. The fairy tales that you grew up with are here. You got Goldilocks and the Three Bears. You got obviously Puss in Boots, Kitty Softpaws. You got Jack Horner and his story and the way they played off of it like a parody. The way that they make him pure evil. So perfect. And the essence of death, the cherry on top. The fact that the character is constantly running literally for their last life. This is important for anyone that's been dealing with some stuff and you want to have that good sense of, I can do this, I can beat this. This movie gives you that privilege to feel that. That's a movie giving you a psychological pillow to rest your head on, a blanket to comfort you when you feel cold and alone. This movie is so amazing. I loved it. I loved every single second. I can't even tell you what other movie did that for me besides No Way Home. And No Way Home had confusing moments, and I gave that my favorite movie of the year of 2021. But this movie, man, I can't tell you how happy I was. This movie with terrible marketing, really small budget trailers that didn't seem like they really cared as much about this one. I was like, okay, we'll see it because it's just part of Shrek franchise, see how it goes. I was blown away. Absolutely blown away. All right. We're at the end. The top 3 movies of 2022 that I was able to catch. 2 of them I caught very recently, And one of them was my favorite movie that I could determine before 2023 even started. The Whale with Brendan Fraser. This is his return to the big screen. This is a insanely tragic, heartfelt drama of a man dealing with morbid obesity, a family that has turned their back on him. Even at his last days, there is no hope. There is no justice. There is no satisfaction at the end of this movie unless you really pay attention to the message. The message of this film is to express yourself, and as long as you are expressing yourself, no matter what you say, the character of Charlie, Brendan Fraser, isn't even in this movie. When he plays Charlie, that is Charlie. Charlie sees everyone as a mistake when it comes to the people that lie to him, when it comes to the people that hold back from telling their true feelings. That even when his daughter comes to visit him, abusing him, verbally, brutally abusing him, telling him he's nothing, telling him he's disgusting, telling him he's a piece of trash, saying that because he had made a mistake in the past, he will never be forgiven. He doesn't care about that. Charlie wants her, even though she's been so evil at this point, wants her to express herself. He wants her to tell her story because he truly loves his daughter. This movie is so good when it comes to paying attention to a character that's stuck in a position, is aware of their position, knows there's no way out of their position, and also sees the best in people in all of the worst of times. I was speechless. By the end of the film, I was like, I don't even know what to say. I've been writing reviews on Instagram for all these movies. I always have something really smart. Like, I'm gonna say this because it's gonna be creative, right? This one I was like speechless. I literally put speechless. It made me feel so good. The climax of this film, I'm not gonna spoil it. The way that he looked to his family in his last moments before ending everything in a different way than I had expected. Creative direction, definitely. The way that there were other characters that didn't even get their story finished, but because they didn't really matter to this story. The way that Charlie got to have exactly what he wanted from the beginning, but hinted at us, but didn't tell us. The whole thing about a movie, the whole thing about a story being told to an audience, the whole thing about respecting your audience is the simple premise of show, don't tell. We understood by the end of this film exactly what Charlie was looking for in the first scene. We understood that the tragedy that this character had faced was finally being realized, and that this character, no matter how much he would tell this religious boy to go away, no matter how much he was pushed down, he would say, no. It's not my time. I have to keep being this awful, disgusting thing. That's what he kept seeing as himself. And he just wanted someone to say, he just wanted honesty. He wanted people to see who he truly was. The reveal that he had for his class was amazing. Not spoiling the end of this, but the way that he connects with his daughter in an extremely unhealthy fashion, not in a dirty way or anything. The way that he connects with her, the way that she plays him, the way that he still cares. We can all relate to that. We've all been, the good person in the situation that maybe probably wasn't going to work out well for us, but we still cared about that person anyway. This movie's so relatable. It's so sad. It's so tragic, and it's truly incredible. Incredible. Please, if you can, rent, buy, whatever you have to do. If you could go see it in theaters, I don't know if it's still there. Watch The Whale. If you can handle really dark, deep thinking, analyzation, and drama. Tragedy beyond belief, but so amazing. A for The Whale. We're at the final two movies. I already told you one of them is going to be the movie that I thought was my favorite movie of last year. And then the one that goes up top of that, of course, was my favorite movie of last year. Which I didn't see until this year because time, scheduling, marketing, they didn't really push this one too much. Vengeance is the second to last movie I'm going to be discussing this evening. Now morning. Vengeance by B.J. Novak. Ryan of The Office. B.J. Novak wrote, produced, directed this film. This vision of a man that runs a podcast. Now, I didn't have my podcast yet, so I can say that wasn't a relatable thing for me. Now I can say it is, but he was talking about a murder that happened recently. And it's all about a character that, even though they're in insane denial, they prove that vengeance is still there. They prove that there's something ticking in their brain to make things right. Because they find out what happened. They find out the truth with one of the greatest acting experiences I've had from Ashton Kutcher. Both of his longer scenes were so amazing. And the way that he discussed in a music studio how music is a small scratch on a record of life. That metaphor, that analogy, I was like already having a good time. Already enjoying some of the good jokes, some of the Texas stuff. I was like, okay, this is interesting. I like the murder mystery aspect of this, but these characters are fun. And there's a lot of charisma. And our character, even though he's a dick, it's like, okay, he wants to stay there. He wants to be the right kind of guy. He doesn't want to be a dick and show it. And I'm like, okay, whatever. But then we got to Ashton Kutcher's scene. And the way that he's describing music to this young girl trying to sing. And the way that he's talking about it with so much passion. It made me think of how much I love music, how much I love movies, how much I love doing this right now for you guys. It made me feel something. Now, by the end of the movie, I really regret taking any advice from that character. But for the long-term thought process of leaving a film, this one stuck with me. This one made me say, no. There's great cinematic experiences. There is epic cinematic experiences. You got Top Gun Maverick. You got Bullet Train, which I didn't see yet when this movie came out. But like you have all that fun, right? And then you have a film. Vengeance is a film. It is a vision created by someone with that vision. It is that vision coming to life on screen. It is exactly what that person wanted us to see, and it shows through and through that it is so unique. You know, definitely has similar story beats of other mysteries and murder mysteries and stuff. But this one has such a unique character as the state of Texas, as the people that the main character comes across, as the story progresses and the more of the mystery is revealing itself and the way that it keeps going off in a different direction and you don't even know that the movie is almost over and you're at that scene and you're like, oh my gosh, this is awful. We were lied to the whole time. What are we going to do? There's nothing left. You feel so sad. You're like, damn, that was so good, but it just ends like that. What a twist. Nope. It's not over. Stay watching. Stay attent. Keep your attention on your screen. Watch the characters. Watch their interactions. Watch the facial expression. When BJ Novak is pulling up to this small party, watch the facial expression of the character you already met. Even though we know what the characters had recently been through, the story continues in the way that this is directed, in the way that the acting goes. Every single character holds up. They don't change to make it easier on you. They don't change to make it harder on you either, but they don't forget. These characters are real people to you. And it's awesome. Really, really awesome. Everyone, please have a chance. I think it's on Peacock, Netflix, something of that sort. Watch Vengeance by BJ Novak. You'll enjoy it. If you love cinema. It is a slow burn for some people, but it's got great comedy, so you will probably be entertained regardless. And when you get to that action scene, you'll know what I'm talking about. Whew. Feels good to finish with the best movie that I saw. I've seen this movie twice. It was hard to put this one at the top. At first I was like, Vengeance, easy. One of the most creative, original, independent types of films. Why wouldn't that win? Then I saw A Man Called Otto. Based on another story or another movie of a pretty close name, this movie hit me in every way I needed to be hit. The first scene of the flashback to understand why the main character Otto keeps the coin close by made me cry. Wasn't sad. Didn't really have anything that was super depressing yet. We had one of the suicide attempts. There is definitely some stuff in this movie that is very deep. But this flashback, I knew I was in for an emotional ride. By the end of this film, it's once again one of those that shocked me to my core. Just like The Whale, except for The Whale was very artistic. This one was very mainstream kind of film. I felt everything in this movie that I needed to. I felt hope. I felt doubt. I felt despair. I felt lonely. I felt loved. I felt life in itself. This was a story of life. This was a story of rejuvenation. This was a story of proving that even though the worst thing could happen to you, you could prevail because fate said so. Because someone came into your life, they changed what you had originally planned that day. Could have been your last, but it was not supposed to be. This story, this love story of a man and his wife that had recently passed away, this extremely dark premise, worked so well with heartwarming embrace. It made you feel everything. A movie that can make you feel like you are actually there with the character, holding their hand along the way, feeling their pain, feeling everything, even though they're looking at you, even though you could tell there's a camera there, you feel like you're in the room with them. You feel like you're walking on the sidewalk with them. You can see every interaction. You can hear the crowd in the audience with you speaking, talking, laughing. But you are zoomed in to that film. That film is you now. You have personified your own character walking with Otto. You are Otto. You are feeling everything he feels. You are seeing everything he sees. You are thinking everything he thinks. The character that Tom Hanks played, the second that Tom Hanks looked in the mirror, I was like, that's not Tom Hanks. That's Otto. That's something I can't say for every single actor. That's very challenging for me to say. I did not see Tom Hanks in this movie. I saw Otto. I did not see Brendan Fraser in The Whale. I saw Charlie. BJ Novak's movie was a very different thing for me. It's more independent. And I can't talk about Puss in Boots because that's animated. But this movie, A Man Called Otto, made me realize what incredible potential I did not see before from Mr. Tom Hanks. I have seen some of his movies, not all of them, and I have missed out on some of the biggest ones. Green Mile, Forrest Gump, Saving Private Ryan. I missed all of those. I want to see them. I believe in this man. I have seen him in big. I've seen him in the funny roles. I've seen him in the sweet roles. I saw him in History of, what was it called? News of the World. But this film, I saw Otto. I saw exactly what people were seeing when the biopic or documentary or autobiography came out about Mr. Rogers. When I saw that movie, I was like, okay, I still see Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks is playing Mr. Rogers is very good. Impressive. But here, Tom Hanks wasn't in this movie. This is Otto. This is a story of a man that's been through so much, that gave up on everything, and there's no holding back. Like I said, Whitney Houston cuts to black, too afraid to show the real emotion, the real pain of the scene. This movie shows everything. Every single attempt of this man not being able to live another day without seeing his wife again. Pushing himself into the worst positions in his health. Pushing away people that are so nice, so friendly, because he thinks he can't handle one more day without this person. It's so tragic. It's exactly like The Notebook. That kind of love that you feel from The Notebook. It's like the characters in The Longest Ride that Alan Alda is talking about in the movie. His love story that he's telling, what is Scott Eastwood about. He's telling his story to the younger couple that don't really matter as much. That's what it felt like, but better in every single way. This movie is so amazing. Perfect film. It's hard to come by. A+ don't just happen. Vengeance got the A+ for me originally. A is now what I'm giving Vengeance. A+ for A Man Called Otto. And that is all I have for you today. Thank you guys so much for tuning in for this stream. And if you followed on the last one, when I was ranting, angry, annoying, whatever you want to call me, I'm trying to figure out how to edit those, get them out to you as soon as possible, just so you can relive the passion that I have for film. Let me know if you want to see more movie talks in the future, or if you want this to be the last one for a while. I completely understand too. But next week, there's going to be some big changes when it comes to this podcast. I am going to be finally opening up about my opinions, my controversial opinions, as a normal, common sense conservative, watching our world change so much over this time, over the last 3 years. All the questions that I wasn't allowed to ask because social media would block them. All the criticisms of people that seemed like they were trustworthy will finally be exposed. Not anything personal. Nobody personally knows me. It's just my opinions on the events that took place. If you were interested in that, feel free to tune in. If not, and you unsubscribe, so be it. But this podcast is me. This is who I am all the time. My love for movies, my love for music, my love for art, my love for understanding, and my love for comedy, honestly. I love comedy. I would love to have one of these streams where I just listen to a comedian or something like that. That would be so fun for me. It's not a reaction, but it's just like listening. because there's some incredible comedy in the world and makes you feel so good. And it gives you that hope that you should get from a great medium of media. I like saying medium. I think that's the coolest. I stole that from somebody. They were talking about the medium of stage versus the medium of film when it came to Dear Evan Hansen. And my opinion was that Dear Evan Hansen is amazing, and you're wrong. But for now, I'm gonna set this as the end of the stream. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Anybody that was here live, if you weren't, I don't blame you. I'm pretty sure that my internet is just not working. So this is all being recorded, and it will be up shortly, and I hope you enjoy it. Please leave your comments down below. You're absolutely awesome for tuning in. Have an awesome night. Stay safe out there. Peace.
Thank you for tuning in to the Media Man Dan podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, feel free to like and subscribe. Thanks for listening. Have an awesome day and stay safe out there. Peace.